President, we are on.
I'll officially open the Auburn Parks and Recreation Board meeting for August 25th, 2026, 6 p.m. at the Reiki Park Lodge in Auburn, Indiana. First item on the agenda will be acceptance of minutes. However, the first item on acceptance of minutes for June, I think we'll need a motion to table because Allison, you weren't here for that.
Correct.
It'll still be a table. It'll carry over.
Oh, it'll just carry on? Okay.
If you don't pull it off the table.
All right. So we'll leave that on the agenda as it is. And then we'll consider the July minutes, July 28th minutes for the meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments on those minutes last month? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Mr. President, Ben Nordman moves that the board accept the minutes of the regular meeting of the Parks and Recreation Board of July 28, 2026.
Allison Todd, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Not opposed. Okay, motion approved. Introduction of guests.
In addition to our board president, Mike Caraway, vice president, Ben Nordman, myself, secretary, Allison Todd, superintendent of parks, Eric Dittmers. We also are joined by Kevin Webb, Bill Toll, and Matt Neiman.
All right. And did you note, I didn't hear, I'm sorry, did you note Don was absent?
I did not notice specifically. Missing Don.
All right. So any communications?
We have none.
Now, new business, do we need to modify the agenda?
We will. We can modify that after Memorial Park request.
All right. Memorial Park request. You want to make some comments on that here?
So this request comes from Matt Lehman from Pine Hills Church, and he has, this event has gone on. This will be the second year for the event, and Matt has laid this out very well, I must add, all the details and everything that goes along with the event. There's a few more things on there over last year, I believe Matt is here to discuss those.
Matt, go right ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that very much. This will be our 5th year of actually doing the harvest party. So we've done it every year at the 4-H building. And what I love about that is there's a lot of open space in case it rains. That's nice to have that building. What we have not liked about that is it's just not in a residential area. And so the reason why we moved our movie night to Memorial Park to begin with is because it was in a residential area. And so we just felt like it went really well. And so we wanted to consider using that same space for our community harvest party as well. So really what we're looking to do is we would like to, we're looking at Sunday, October 11th for our events. I put in my initial request to Eric that our setup would begin at noon, and then our event would end. Actual event would start at 2, and the event would be done at 4, and then we would have everything torn down, completed, cleaned up by 6 o'clock that night. I don't know if getting there at noon is going to be early enough time to get everything set up for the community. So I'd like to be able to request instead of noon, 11 o'clock. The intent of this would be a free event. It would be a community event, and the intent would be for us to keep the park open to the public for those who don't even want to participate in our event. So I don't know that we would necessarily have to have anything like necessarily reserved except maybe the pavilion for food and those kinds of things. We're looking at, similar to our movie night, where we had 3 bounce houses up that I think went really well. Our goal would be to do the same thing. We'd probably hand out hot dogs and bags of chips. Face painting, I think if you have the request in front of you, I'm just gonna read it all the way down. And so really, I don't know that there's any significant difference between our movie night and this, other than we're just not showing a public video or a public movie. So the food is still going to be there. The intent would be if there are food trucks who want to come and be a part, I'd let them know the last time I would let them know they would be responsible for carrying their own, whatever the food licensing would require for safety and sanitation. Really the biggest thing is that we would have music we're going to be playing, so I want to make sure we're being respectful of the community. We're not going to be obnoxiously loud, so we weren't obnoxiously loud the last time, and I didn't hear any feedback either way on how that went with the community surrounding. We would intend to do that. We would intend to have it completely open and available to the community. We would intend to go around the community, the houses around, just to let them know what we're doing. One, just because we want to let everyone know they can be a part of that. But 2, just to let them know, just to be aware that we're having an event that might be noisier than normal on that Sunday afternoon. So what I would also like to request that would be sunny skies and no rain. So if you can make that happen, Eric, I'd appreciate that. Are there any questions or anything that I maybe didn't cover in the request?
Well, the first thing with the, are you gonna be renting a pavilion?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 pavilion?
I think the goal, the goal would probably be for us to rent both of them.
Both pavilions?
Yep. Yep.
Alex may take care of that through the normal rental process, right?
Yep.
And
I believe those have been blocked out already for.
They have been.
And then as far as the food trucks, okay, you've already notified them, no, you haven't notified them yet. You're planning to notify them, or?
Well, we'll see what happens after today. I wanted to wait until we had a conversation. I did not make any promises. We've not done any advertising or marketing or anything to let anyone know yet.
Okay. Because there's a difference, Eric, between parking on the street and them in the parking lot, correct?
Correct. So everything inside of the park is controlled by the park board for allowing whatever to be into the park. Along the roadside is an itinerary food vendor permit that is obtained through the building planning department. So if people are coming in, and I can tell you that there is a potential, and probably a pretty great potential, of Brooks Construction being in there and resurfacing that parking lot. So there is a good chance that that parking lot will not be usable. So on-street parking would be the only thing.
On the west end where they're putting in the splash pad.
Yes, that parking lot right there. But there's street parking down both sides on both sides of the street. So.
And they will need those permits.
Yes, they will need those permits, the food vendors will.
But that's outside of our purview, right?
No, that's up to them to obtain.
Is it like a day of kind of thing, or is it like an annual thing?
It's usually on the specific event for the specific location. So a lot of times they'll have that, but they'll have it listed out where they're going to be at certain times. So that'll be something that'll have to be obtained or added to whatever they have as an itinerary. Permit.
Recognizing that is outside of your purview, do you have any idea what the general cost for that usually is? Okay,
No.
That's fine.
Building and planning, they'll get you all that information on the specifications if you have a new vendor or things like that. The inspection required.
So yes, I mean, providing this is approved, which again, we don't see a problem with that at this point, but if contact the food trucks, it's a yes or no, are they showing up or not? If they are showing up, they will need, especially if they're on the curb in the street, they will need that permit. They'll need to go to City Hall and get that. So you'll need a definitive yes or no, are they coming? And then if they are, they'll need to tell you flat out that they will have that when they get there.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Mr. Lehman, also, is the fact that the superintendent is indicating that both pavilions, we think, are rented for October 11th, does that?
They're reserved for this evening.
They're reserved for this event? Okay.
Yeah, once we got notification and started the process.
So Pine Hills is doing it?
Yes.
Okay, good, all right. I was under the impression somebody else did it. Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, because they are a not-for-profit, they do not, Pine Hills does not need any type of licensure to serve their own popcorn and cotton candy?
Correct.
Okay. And one other thing I recall from a prior request to play music at Memorial Park, did we, I think one of the political parties was wanting to play some music out there, and I have a recollection that we didn't have sufficient electricity to do that, or do you remember that conversation?
I think that was more musical performance, like amps and things of that nature. I don't know if it was just speakers, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends where it is, you know, in the stage area is obviously wired for that versus out just plugging into one of the panel boxes there on the one outlet.
Okay.
I know we ran into that last year and they had to move some things around with their different stations, but it worked last time, but
Our intent would be to use the same audio system we used last time, which is pretty low power. I mean, it's nothing like a concert or musical type scenario.
Because yeah, it's 20 and 120.
right.
So that should be. So as far as the food trucks, the insurance taking care of the $1 million policy with the city, that's.
I did have a question about that. So I know when we did our movie night, I believe it was in June of this year, same year, we submitted our $1 million policy to the city. Do we still need to have a separate, we can get a separate one for this particular event, but does the previous one cover this with the city, or do we need to get a fresh one? We can do either, we're welcome, or we're willing to do that. I just want to make sure I do that ahead of time.
It based on the dates, a lot of times there's effective dates in there. So most of the time when you request those, it is for a specific date.
That's fine. That's good.
I we'd have to go back and check that one. But normally it's for a specific date, event, kind of what's covered. That way the insurance company knows exactly what you're planning on putting on.
And then would I submit that specifically to you?
Yes.
And if you remember last time, we had to add that the insured party would include the city
Right.
as well on that specific.
That's additional insurer of the city of Auburn. I do have one comment from the board. They have face painting here. I would request that not to be done on our picnic tables. If you're gonna bring in, if you're gonna have our painting, I guess it's pumpkin painting. Face painting probably isn't a big deal if the kids sit in the chair and go over that, but the actual pumpkin painting needs to be off the picnic tables. Either bring in tables, additional tables in, your guys in, but that would be my request to the board is not to have those on our picnic table, city's picnic table.
You know, as far as the food trucks, and again, I'm just being upfront, before the event, but do the police need to be notified if they park on the street to check for permits, or is that something we're gonna just?
That's really up to them on how they monitor that. I don't necessarily, once they are issued the permit, the food vendor permit, itinerary permit, then that's really up to that department to kind of control that and see that.
Yeah, I just don't know how they should come up with some officer check the food trucks and find out they're not permitted.
Right.
So that's, so again, please make sure that that is taken care of as far as the permits. And again, that's if they're parking on the street or if they're in the park.
I don't know, is there a place where they would park in the park? I don't know, I mean, I never even asked, for the last event, like, are they allowed to pull into the grass, like, would that be appropriate?
We normally don't allow any type of traffic in on the grass.
Would they be able to set up without their truck in the grass? Sorry, I'll just make it real simple. I'm just gonna tell them that if they want to come, I'll make sure we know ahead of time, and they have to make sure they get a permit, and they will
If
check.
it's a table or something like that, obviously that's one thing. But if it's, if they're moving a trailer or something like that and dropping something, that's something different. But if it's a table, it's not really going to affect any of the traffic or, if they haul it in. So that's, I'd say that's probably fair game.
And again, we're just being upfront before the event, so there's no surprises afterwards. Again, it'll be a simple event. Mother Nature cooperating, everything will be fine. It's just, I'd like to make sure there's just no red flags till the day of, and then all of a sudden, questions come up. So, does anybody else have any questions on this?
I have one. The 3 to 4 canopies provided by Mr. Moonwalk. What is those canopies involve? Are they staked down or are they just held
That's
down?
a typo. So the inflatable bounce houses would be provided by Mr. Moonwalk. The canopies would be provided by your church. So it's typical.
Like 10 by 10?
Yeah, like we got like a 10 by 20 that we own, and we just a big white, like long white one. We set up for different things, just for sun protection and stuff. No, just, they'd be basic.
All right, how are they attached to the ground?
Probably just basic stakes, like 10 stakes. Or we can use weights.
Preferably if you use weights, just not quite sure, there we have a lot of electric lines. I don't know what kind of stakes you'd be using, whether they would be 2-foot rebars or if they'd be just 10 sticks, so.
It would be like, what we would use would just be like, just general 10 stakes, so you pick up a Walmart orange tips. But we can use weights, that's not a problem.
That's a new part, we sure don't want any underground damage. Is that what we require to with basic weights for that kind of thing?
Most of the time we do, yes. Kind of depends on the tent. There's certain tents that require more staking on it. You're gonna get with stakes or bags, weighted bags.
So do you see any issue using weights at all for
No,
that?
we use them.
Let's just go with that.
Fine.
That's the safer thing. Anybody else, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, Ben Nordman moves that the board approve the request of Pine Hills, Auburn for use of Memorial Park for family harvest party on October 11th, 2026 from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m., subject to the production of an insurance policy, $1 million liability policy to the satisfaction of the park superintendent, further conditioned upon there being no painting on picnic tables and that any canopies will be secured by weights.
Allison Todd, I second.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Any other questions, Matt? Are you okay with everything?
No, I'm good. If you're okay with that, just if I have any other questions, I'll just direct them.
You're
Good luck with your event.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right, so now we need to,
Yeah, Mr. President, I would like to amend the agenda, request to amend the agenda to add a bill for a request to use courtyard park.
okay, entertain a motion.
Mr. President, Ben Norton moves that the agenda be permitted for the consideration of the usage of Courtyard Park.
Allison Todd, I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Bill, do you wanna get up, and Eric, do you have any comments before Bill talks, or?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think Bill would be able to expound on that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to show up, especially on very short notice. Thank you once again, board members. We've done this for the last 4 years, using the Courtyard Park for that trick or treating. They have that this year, October 30th, and it's scheduled from 4 to 6 p.m. And usually what we'll do is the American Legion will bring the bus down, set the bus so that they know that we are there, because we want to be active in the community. It's one of our programs. And so we're just going to have the bus set up there. You can stand there on the sidewalk and hand out candy to the kids.
And if I understand it right, it's commercial candy wrapped candy, not homemade.
Correct. Yeah, we go down the same club, we buy quite a few $100 worth of candy. You see the kids coming through, guys this big about candy that buy. So,
Okay. Any questions? Because again, how many years you been doing this?
this will be, I think, our 5th year doing it. So, and the post loves doing it. Like I said, it's our way of getting involved in the community, because since our post is, on the south side of town, if it was where it used to be at, right there by, right across from the Elks, or is it the Elks or what?
The Elks is right on 7th.
7th.
Just off 7th.
But, yes, where our old post used to be at, we were kind of, downtown, so we could just walk down to the corner of it, but now we're, we have to drive up and stuff like that, so.
Eric, do you envision them needing any type of insurance to do this?
I don't believe we required anything in the past, because it is basically fed from private sidewalk they walk on, and the candy they walk away, so it's kind of open to the public, unless the board thinks there's a viable reason to add that, but
I don't
we've
see it.
never requested it in the past. I'm
Yeah.
sure they would be willing to definitely do that. I mean, it'd be easy ask if you're.
Well, I mean, if we have it in the past, then I don't, again, unless I hear other comments, I don't.
It sounds like they're also taking up a lot less real estate to do this than, Old Memorial Park.
And the potential for an incident is not nearly as great in this one as it would be for such as, a larger event.
And it's part of the trick or treat anyway, right? It's
Yes.
part of the flow of
Yeah,
what's going on.
That is from 4 to 6, right?
yes, 46, yeah. It's on October 30th, that's on a Friday, so.
Okay, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, Ben Nordman moves that the board approve the request of the American Legion to utilize Courtyard Park on October 30th, 2026, between the hours of 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. For their annual candy distribution event.
Allison Todd, I second.
All right, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Not opposed. Passes.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Goodbye.
Yes.
I'd like to
Thank you.
save me some candy.
Hey, will do.
Okay. So now the next item on the agenda is dumpster service contracts.
Correct. So our dumpster contract is up at the park maintenance shop. It's an 8-yard dumpster. So we've quoted this out for a 5-year term with no auto renewal and with all the rates and fees to be disclosed. Some companies did follow suit. There's others that did not. But we did make those requests to put in for a 5-year contract. As you can see in the spreadsheet, if we cover the first one, first page with 2 should look like this. Okay. We have a base rate for GFL at 115, and then there's 7% annual increases along with that for the 5-year contract. And then additional, there is a 25% minimum fee increase per year. So you can see in the green where the true price or cost of that dumpster service and what it equates out in 5 years. One thing to be kind of know about this, there is no cap on those 25% fees. So it could be 30%, it could be such as another company could be even higher than that. Then we'll cover that as we move through this. But I wanted to kind of get some true costs here of what it is and what the potential of the contracts are, because they are a little different, kind of accomplish the same thing, but they're, so my only comment is that the 25% fuel and environmental fees are not capped, and it does not include the administration fees, which we don't know, we were never disclosed that. I will go over to Washler. Washler's base rate of 180.08, and there is a 3%, not to exceed 3% annually. And there is, all the fees are included. This is the contract that we have for Reiki Park currently. So we have one that is very similar to this for Reiki Park. We've had great service with them, no problems, and everything comes out as it should with the contract with no additional fees.
So if I get this right, Washington, that number is set.
That number is set. It will never be any higher
With
than
GFL, we're looking at a moving target.
There's definitely potential there of additional. We don't see prices go down ever, do we? We always see them increase. So what that increase would be, is a gamble. It is over a 5-year period. So going to the Republic kind of earned its own page here, just because we have so much historical data with that, and that may help make a decision on what that 25% fee means. As you look, their Republic has a base of 118.69, an annual increase of 10%. And then over the, with the admin fees, the fuel and environmental fees, historical, as you see at the blue at the bottom, those are currently what our rates are and the percentage associated with the environmental fees. So as you can see, for 2026, we have a 54% environmental fee over the base rate. In 2025, we have a 38% over the base rate. And this is an average, understand, but it is, it kind of lays out for the number of years that we've had historic over the last 5 years. And then we average those 5 years out into an average for the percentage for the environmental and fuel fees.
What do they mean by environmental increase?
I'm assuming that it is probably at the landfill. The fuel fees are a mobile target too. So if the fuel goes up, then those fees are corresponding accordingly.
Okay, so environmental, maybe if they're charged more
That's a no.
then that would be.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some regulations that are in there too for permitting and things like that, that they have to deal with trucks. So as you look at the green, if we only look at the green, you see that GFL is 10,614, 39 over the 5-year period, with Washington being 11,816.96 over the 5-year period, and Republic being 13,965.13 over the 5-year period. My recommendation to the board is, not knowing that what those 25% fees are, and for proper budgeting from year to year, it would definitely help. We're talking a difference of around $1,200 for that for budgeting and the unknown of what those caps or those fees would be that are not capped.
Okay, so I assume you have a recommendation as to
I do.
which one? Because again, the way I'm seeing it, and I'd like comments from the board, but the way I'm seeing it is we only have one with a set target versus the other two that are very variable depending. I mean, there's not a lot of concrete. So to look just at those numbers of 10 and 11 and 13.9, I mean, it's the 11.816 seems to be the only one that seems to be a fixed number, if I'm understanding this explanation correctly.
That is correct.
Well, and the fixed number with Republic of 13.9 is not necessarily fixed because of additional costs I'm hearing that could be figured in that are not contemplated in the Washler. And even though it's $1,200 more, as you point out, over the course of 5 years, that is $250 a year, but we're locked in and with no surprises that we might get with GFL. I think we're all on the same page about that.
And Eric, you said Washler already has a contract with the city.
Correct. Yes, for our other dumpster that we have out here.
And it was, you said really good service.
Yep, we've had great service with them. No problems. They're on time. No trash lying around the dumpster.
It's pretty clear to me.
So is that your recommendation?
My recommendation is for Washler. And I believe the contract that you have in front of you, this contract will also go in front of Board of Works. But Washler does spell out that the 180.08 per month, and that has the entire, if you want to look, I know I didn't have this to you yet, but it's probably soon if you want to look, take a few minutes to look over Washler's contract for consideration and recommendation.
I like you could read Washlers, I can't get any glances on it.
Well, that's true.
There's a lot of fine print in those.
Oh,
Oh, I like things simple. Yeah, terms and conditions, yeah. Magnify glass. Because again, which makes this review kind of unique is with normal contracts, you have apples to apples. This doesn't seem to be an apples to apples kind of. The service is basically the same, but how they evaluate the instruction of cost that they charge seems to fluctuate. Yes,
It is. It does. And this is a non-auto renewable, so the contracts are tied in for another, whatever the contract length is, it's for an additional 5 years in this case. So we want to make sure at the end of the contract, that's it, we rebid, and requote, and then we start over again.
And that's Westlerville.
Yep.
Washington.
Yep,
Washington. Any other questions or comments on this? I'll entertain a motion.
I don't want to be a motion hog.
No, please do, because I remember that I'm gonna forget something.
Okay. I appreciate your faith in me. Mr. President, Ben Nordman moves that the board award the contract for the commercial dumpster service to Washburn Incorporated as set forth in the contract provided by the park superintendent.
That was less confusing than I thought it was gonna be. Allison Todd, second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Wash, where is it? Well, I'm glad we had at least one that seemed to be stable compared to the way you're describing the other ones. 'Cause I'm kind of new to that kind of contract development. That's a little bit different than what I'm used to seeing.
I don't know if it's typical language, but I appreciated Washler's contract. They
Yeah.
said no fuel, environmental, or creative fees. I thought that was nice.
Yep.
We're not gonna make things up and charge them.
All right, so going on to old business, any old business, Eric?
I have none for the board.
Superintendent updates.
We'll just start out with this first one right here. So this is an event form that the park department has developed with, some of the things I know the board's talked about in the past. Developing a form to help, answer all the questions that happen kind of behind the scenes. And this form should help us and the board also, alleviate some of those questions and requirements that are here. So they should a lot of them should be worked out. We're still gonna have extenuating circumstances, with time movement and things like that. But nine times out of 10, this should be a pretty standard form with a lot of the information. If the board has any suggestions, now or later, then we can add those in as needed.
Number one, I think this is a great first step. Considering when people do apply, instead of a blank sheet of paper, wondering what they would need to put down that you need. So the guessing game pretty much is alleviated by this. And whether they all apply or not, they at least know basically what's expected. So great first step. I think the board will definitely appreciate this going forward.
Whoever put that together, I'll give them our thanks for that. It's well done.
Made it very easy to read.
With so many parks.
For the food question, I don't know if this would be applicable at all, because you're asking about health permits, but do we need to have a prepackaged food option? Or would that be unnecessary?
If it's
In that
prepackaged,
context.
it depends whether the answer, if it's a nonprofit, 501(c), if it's a church, that type of stuff. So once we get kind of it's gonna stem further questions. And I hope that we can build upon this too, because if it is prepackaged food or something like that, obviously it's just handing out.
Yeah.
It depends whether it's to the public or to the private event holders.
But I could see people who were intending on including prepackaged food, not seeing that option and get panicked because they don't want to check no, but doesn't really fit with the other options.
Yeah, no.
At least I would, if I were filling that.
No, these are the kind of questions this form
Yeah.
helps to identify. Because with a blank sheet of paper, you're not gonna think that until something comes
Right.
up.
That's good. Yep, thank you.
The only other suggestion might be is there anything on this sheet without seeing it all that, as far as your notification of the different insurances and everything else that they need, how soon or how late, I guess, up to the event you wait until they come through with everything that you need.
We have 30 days in there, depending on, a lot of times this is taken care of within that, but it's always tighter, sometimes tighter than that. Obviously, sometimes it's
Oh, I see.
when they make the request, so. But it is in there, it'd be 30 days prior to the event.
Okay.
But where it runs into an issue is that if we make the request at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the month, and then for the end of the month meeting, that is less than 30 days. Because they don't know exactly when if it's gonna be approved or not be approved. So there's some workaround that we it kind of puts them on notice a little bit, that there may be requirements, but a lot of this is still gonna be back and forth on our end. But once it gets figured out and it goes to the board, we should have a complete package for that.
Oh, this is excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Anybody with any other questions on this? Okay.
Are we using this form now? Is this just a model or?
This is just a model at this point, so from here forward.
Okay.
Well, I think that's gonna streamline the process quite nicely.
Have a few updates. We've installed table tennis at Memorial Park, so, Park Department poured the slab for that, about 6.5 yards of concrete. And, then we have the concrete table tennis that sits on top of that, so a great new addition to the, Memorial Park. Has another play amenity, which is all made out of concrete, about 3,000 pounds, that table tennis unit is, so. Definitely stainless steel, made for commercial use, so. We've also installed a merry-go-round in the Subtle Park. So we have that. We had one in there previous that failed on us. We tore that out, and the board's approved buying that, and we now have that installed at the Subtle.
Excellent.
We're working on now rehabbing Smith Acres, the softball fields there. So we've added several tons of dirt to that to build that up in anticipation for the fence and the roofs for the dugouts and the pavilion roof. So we have a lot going on at Smith Acres, which is going to be a great upgrade to that park and that facility going forward. We're working on adding security cameras here at Reedy Park. So one we're looking at is here at the corner of this building, another one down at the restroom facility, and another one at the trail at the North Quad there. So that is moving forward. Cameras are purchased. We're just waiting on kind of installs to follow along behind it.
The only suggestion would be to have it to a place where nobody can vandalize the cameras themselves. You know what I'm saying? Get a step ladder and do something to the camera.
Unfortunately, a lot of times those are hooked onto a roof or on the fascia or something like that. Like in the case of the one to the north, that'll be on the light pole right there. So yes, I do understand that. But we should have a pretty good shot on it. So, Halloween walk, just kind of wanted to make you guys aware of the Halloween dates again, which is October the 23rd through the 26th and the 29th through the 31st for the Halloween walk. As we all know, ACD is going to be going on here September the 4th through the 6th. The park is involved in that, and Eckert Park and Reedy Park are both involved with that program. So something that we're preparing with now. We've been working at it for probably almost a week now in Eckert Park. So we're getting everything cleaned up, straightened up, and looking good for that event. Also wanted to let you know that Tabitha, which is our administration assistant or admin, was promoted to
Okay,
That's all that I have.
anything on the, I see construction out there, Memorial Park, is that for the water plaza thing? That's
So the splash pad?
Yep.
Yep. So that is moving forward. A lot of the subgrade stuff is put in, drain lines, that type of stuff. So we're not quite there yet, but that project is moving forward. Still looking at a completion here in the next maybe 3 weeks, somewhere around there, for a completion. It all depends on the weather and getting the subcontractors in there, to move that forward. So,
Okay. No, that's great. It'll be a wonderful addition.
and then Brooks will be in after that to repave that and resurface that parking lot after they get done. We don't want concrete trucks driving over our new freshly resurfaced asphalt.
No, that's good. Okay, anybody else have any questions on? All right. So moving forward, to vouchers. Please review, if you have any questions.
Seems to be one item taking up about half the budget this
Half the
month.
budget,
What can you tell us about page 4, right in the middle?
Page 4. So that was a budgeted item. We've just now received the bill for that. We received that somewhere around May, the actual unit. So we're now just getting the unit. That was a trade-in. If you remember, that was approved by the board as a trade-in, and this is the difference.
And for the record, and if you're watching for our guests, we're referring to a $22,000 gator that we approved of some months ago. You know,
Oh, fantastic, reinvesting in the equipment.
Page 1, I just kind of, we've upgraded our safety harnesses that we utilize in the bucket truck, and also in the basket that we use for hauling the Christmas blocks. So I just kind of want to make you aware, those do have a longevity of about 5 years. If they show signs of any type of wear, abrasions, then those have to be changed out. So, but that is something that was upgraded this year for the safety of our employees.
Okay. Yeah. I like proactive.
And page 5, the gravel for the infield mix for Smith Acres. That is one of the bills coming in. There's several others that will be following next month's vouchers. But that is for that project.
No, those are the kind of things I like to see, because as people drive around, one of the easiest things to look at is the areas parked. And if they're driving around and see a deteriorated baseball field with, weeds and divots and all that, it just doesn't leave a good impression on visitors or others planning to invest in the city. So I just really appreciate these kind of things going on to keep everything up to snuff.
well, in particular, since Smith Acres, last I knew, was more of a practice field. And we're doing all these incredible updates to it, and it's not even where the games are.
Correct. But there's a safety aspect to it, and we want to make sure the fields are safe, the proper bags are on there, they're set to the right height, so if they do practice, sometimes they can play scrimmages, there's other things that go on. So we want to make sure, at least on the city's portion, liability-wise, that we keep them to that standard.
Just the appearance of it would show that. just on page 8. Ecker's restaurant camera repair, can you talk a little bit about that? Is that vandalism or is that just?
That is just, we had the camera go down, so we had to add a few more additional power cord in the chase way. So that's just a repair.
Okay. So if there's no other comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion on the vouchers.
Mr. Nordman, Mr. President, sorry to insult you. Mr. President, Ben Nordman moves that the board approve the City of Auburn Alpha Register of Voters dated August 25th, 2026, commencing with invoice number 7112 up to and including invoice number 99770 in cumulative amount of $41,531.19.
I'll say that in a second.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed? Vouchers passed. Guest concerns or announcements?
Kevin Webb gave you a month off last month, so I thought I'd say something this month. But first, definitely want to congratulate you on a wonderful decision on your dumpster. Are you going to have more dumpsters to contracts to look at in the future?
No, we only have 2 dumpsters.
Okay. So I won't say any more other than I appreciate you extrapolating all that out. And as a previous Republic customer, there'll never be another Republic customer ever again as long as I live, and a current Worstler customer. I appreciate your decision.
Thanks.
Okay, any other comments from the public? Seeing none? Announcements? Next park board meeting, right now is scheduled for the 22nd of September, 6 p.m. here at the Reiki Lodge on Indiana Avenue. Should I make a comment about subject to possible?
Just maybe in the minutes that the potential for that change could exist. And I will let the board know as soon as I know something, with Don and that, and with council or with the clerk's office. So I will get that arranged.
If the possibility of it being adjusted, but it's scheduled for the 22nd of September.
And I do believe, Mr. President, that one of the prior, I think the July minutes referenced that I indicated I won't be here for the September 22nd meeting. And so I think that was a good thing to put that in the minutes, and we will see what happens with that.
Okay. Probably
Probably good for us to do that when we know we're not going to be here.
No, I think it's very,
Yeah, for all of us.
we have a margin of error.
Yeah, not only for us, but for those that review our record.
All right. So if there's no other comments or questions, take a motion to adjourn. Thank you all.
So I got the 7th, Pennsylvania, maybe.